Dear students, today as part of this module, we will be covering the topic on elder abuse, various dimensions. The outline of the presentation is, we will be covering the elder abuse in terms of its definition, the context of abuse, meaning and nature of abuse, who are involved in an abuse situation, why does abuse occur, the help seeking behavior in this context, existing interventions and what more is needed. With this outline, let us discuss each of these, how the definition of elder abuse and the concept that has come out over a period of time. Elder abuse generally includes the infliction of physical pain or injury, physical coercion, infliction of mental anguish, illegal or improper exploitation of finances, other resources of the elderly, and deprivation of services which are necessary to maintain mental and physical health of the elderly. Now, when we talk about the abuse, one of the aspects is the moment the elderly become dependent, both physically and psychologically, the abuse from the other members of the family and the community is experienced. Thus, the term abuse comprises of various dimensions such as physical abuse, physical neglect, sexual abuse, verbal assault, neglect of the environment and violation of rights and material abuse. Elder abuse may involve any act or omission of the act that can endanger the life of an elderly family member. Now, let us discuss about what is the meaning of abuse. Elder abuse was first described in British Scientific Journal as granny battering. It is defined as a single or repeated act or lack of appropriate action occurring within any relationship where there is an expectation of trust which causes harm or distress to an older person. The moment the elderly persons become dependent over a period of time, they will be abused, and that is where the situation in which the elderly are located in family and community setting are very important for us to understand. What are the situations in which the elderly are living? One of the important aspects in this is to understand what are the variables that we need to understand for knowing about the situation of the elderly. One of the important aspects is rural-urban composition in which the elderly living. The second aspect, the dependency ratio in terms of the number of elderly out of the number of other members of the family. The marital status of the elderly is another dimension in which the situation of elderly needs to be understood. The economic situation indicates the extent of financial independence of the elderly in their way of life. Similarly, their involvement in workforce participation and the type of dependency they are in the family and community setting is also important. Another dimension is to understand the living arrangements of the elderly members. Other aspect of our study in understanding the situation of elderly is ownership of property and assets, to what extent the elderly also own the property and the other assets of the family. The other dimension is about understanding the family support to these elderly is another important contributory factor for knowing about the type and extent of abuse they are experiencing. Besides that, it is very important to understand that there are some specific groups within the elderly who are more experiencing or more vulnerable for abuse. For instance, the situation is far worse for elderly females, as most of them are dependent on others. Similarly, a majority of Indian elderly who are without their spouse live with their children, and then in the process they are also abused. However, more and more elderly are now living away from or without their children, which also is an important factor for us to understand the situation of elderly. Among those who live with children's support, male elderly are taken care of more as compared to female elderly. In that context, female elderly are highly disadvantageous as the living arrangement for them is not conducive for their quality of life. For instance, around 60% of rural and urban females and around 30% of rural and urban males did not own any property or financial assets, which itself indicates the extent of financial dependency on their family members. Life expectancy is increasing along with their health and morbidity issues is also an important aspect as long-term care is required, which contributes further dependency, and also in the process abuse is also experienced. There is increasing dependence on caregivers resulting in abuse. So, this is one of the important aspects. The situation in which these elderly are currently living is important for us to understand. Now, what is the context of abuse? One of the important consequences of the above mentioned changes that has been is the maltreatment of the elderly in the family or institutional context. For instance, where can abuse occur? That context is very important. Is it own home? In that sense, by whom? Is it a daycare or community center? By whom? Residential care? By whom? Nursing home? By whom? Hospital? By whom? Is it in a marketplace? By whom? If it is in a workplace, by whom? Neighborhood, by whom? Other context in which the elderly is also important, so that we need to locate who are the people who abuse the elderly, and it depends mainly on the type of environment in which our elderly are located. In this context, we need to understand very clearly what is the profile of the victim. The victim is generally our elderly members, and the extent of vulnerability is very important for us to know. Both older men and women can be at risk. For instance, widowed older woman is another dimension, because through marital status when we analyze, then the moment woman attains widowhood, it increases her exposure for abuse. Similarly, the extent of dependency, whether if they are fully dependent or physically their health is at a very frail stage, also contributes. Similarly, having savings or property is another dimension which we need to look into. The extent of her mental and physical health status also is very important as part of the profile of the victim. Low family or social support also contributes in influencing the extent of abuse. Who are these abusers? What are their characteristics? Another important dimension for us to understand as part of the abuse. Abusers are generally they are known and loved one or outsider. Sometimes they are the main caregivers. Also, we need to know that it comes out because of poor frustration tolerance, and if they are addicted to alcoholics, abuser also influences abuse. Similarly, what extent they seek savings or property, what is the extent of their nature of health problems, both physical and psychological, and also to know that it has learned that abuse is acceptable in certain communities, which also is a contributory factor for the abuse. There are different kinds of abuse. It need not be only physical, it can occur in different ways. Older persons may be abused in different ways and may face more than one type. For instance, physical abuse, psychological or emotional abuse, neglect, material abuse, sexual abuse. So, here also we are not exploring sexual abuse in the very clearly, but still we need to know that there is a sexual abuse also occurs. Physical abuse. Physical abuse is the use of physical force that may result in bodily injury, physical pain or impairment. It may include but is not limited to such acts of violence as striking with or without an object, hitting, beating, pushing, shoving, shaking, slapping, kicking, pinching and burning. These are all different types of physical abuses which the elderly are prone or exposed as a form of abuse. What are the psychological dimensions of abuse? It can be emotional or psychological abuse, as it reflects on the infliction of anguish, emotional pain or distress. Emotional or psychological abuse also includes, but is not limited to, verbal assaults, blackmails, pressurizing, insults, threats, intimidation, humiliation and harassment. Other form of abuse is neglect. Neglect is the refusal or failure to fulfill any part of a person's obligations or duties to an elder person. It may include a refusal or failure by a person who has financial accountability to provide care for an elderly. For example, failure to pay for necessary medical service. It may also mean the refusal or failure to provide an elderly person with such life necessities, for instance like food, water, clothing, shelter, medicine, comfort, personal safety and other essential as part of filial responsibility. The other form of abuse is material abuse. For instance, financial or material abuse is the illegal or improper use of an elder's funds, property or assets. For instance, it can include but not limited to misusing or stealing an older person's money or possessions, cashing checks without authorization or permission, forging an older person's signature, coercing or deceiving an older person into signing a document, for instance contracts or a will and so on. And also we need to understand that there are some specific patterns of abuse that comes in terms of its frequency. It may be one incident or such instances happen often or rarely, and also we need to understand the intensity of abuse. Abuse may range from a spontaneous act of frustration to systematic premeditated assaults on an older person. It may worsen, happens consistently or it may stop. It can be seasonal during times of financial hardships, when caretakers change before harvest, when caretaker has lost job. These are all seasonal wise abuse. That also is a one form of pattern. We also need to understand in the area of abuse is what are its impacts. Impacts are many. For instance, human cause. All sufferings, both physical and emotional, takes a toll on health and their overall quality of life. So abuse hampers the chances of a healthier and dignified old age for them. There are also different indirect costs. It has to be, we have to keep in mind that you have to bear medicines and interventions, for instance legal, shelter or therapy or hospital admissions, change in living arrangements, travel, research, human resource training, all are very important for us, which have an indirect cost, expenditures that could be avoided if there was no occurrence of elder abuse. So we need to know that there are different signs of abuse which we can get from the person who is a victim in this. What are the telltale signs of abuse? It can be evident of scars, bruises, fractures, injuries, fearful in presence or to talk about a person or cry, self-neglect, for example not taking bath, not grooming and avoid meeting people, withdrawing, isolating, refusal to talk to why or his behavior is changing, accompanied regularly to bank to withdraw money, jewelry they always wore is missing, they are making a will or changes in it, they look hungry, underfed, dehydrated, they want to move to another child's place. These are all the signs through which we can assess that there is an occurrence of abuse for the elderly. As we discussed, we need to know why does it happen. There are many reasons why abuse occurs and these may vary with each incident. For instance, it may be it is easier that the elderly can be exploited. It is important that the abuser's attitudes and values also may influence the extent of abuse, and also we should see that it is seen as a family matter. Sometimes abuses are accepted culturally. This is one of the important aspects we need to understand, that cultural variations are also have to be understood when we are talking about incidents and the nature of abuses. Other aspect is poor quality of long-term relationships between victim and abusers. caregiver's inability to provide the level of care that is required due to stress, poverty or feelings of burden. They also contribute for incidents of abuse. A caregiver with mental or physical health problems or addicted to alcoholism also contributes for abuse of their own elderly members. The other dimension of why it happens is intergenerational violence, which is seen as acceptable. Acceptable in terms of that when the abuser was exposed in the childhood by seeing the persons who are abused over a period of time, that individual develops that acceptance of abuse is one of the important aspects. Now, there is a recent data which shows we need to know what is the type of abuses and also the extent of abuse among elderly in India. A recent study which was carried out in 7 states of India by Building Knowledge Base of Aging in India, conducted by UNFPA, it was mainly to understand. As I mentioned, we need to know what are the recent data supports in understanding the issues related to abuse. The latest study conducted by UNFPA sponsored survey of 7 states of elderly, the situation analysis of the study revealed clearly that nearly 6% of elderly had been exposed to have and also experience some sort of physical abuse, emotional abuse or violence. Half of all reports of violence in rural areas are by neighbors, followed by sons to the extent of 40% and relatives to the extent of 34% and a daughter-in-law as an abuser to the extent of 32%. In urban areas, men are abused by neighbors more than women. In total neighbors are to the extent of 45% and sons at the extent of 44%. The second most common source of abuse among men and women is sons, with more women responding to abuse by sons to the extent of 45% than men to the extent of 40%. Important aspect, as we saw, is that the caregiver himself or herself will be the main abuser for the elderly. Similarly, another important finding which we need to understand from this survey is that there are a high proportion of elderly women who reported abuse by daughter-in-law compared to men. There were also some who have experienced the elderly attributed to the abuse faced in the past month, with every quarter both men and women reporting health problems because of the incidents of abuse. This is one of the important latest studies that has clearly focused about the importance of interventions that require in minimizing the type of abuse that are experienced by the elderly in our society. What are the types of help-seeking behavior? Usually, the victims respond in some way to avoid abuse. They may complain to another family member or outsider they trust. They may resist the abuse by talking or backsliding or asking for it to stop. They may move to another house or live with someone they trust. They may rely on community contacts to help. They may want to report to the police. They may seek to the Maintenance Act or invoke their rights. In many instances, they may justify or accept it, blame self or keep silent as they feel they have no option. They may take it passively. So, these are one of the important aspects which we need to understand, is that depending on the profile of the elderly, the situations will be taken and are accepted, or it will be taken to correction measures. What are the existing and required interventions, which is another important dimension for us to understand, is usually according to cultural context as it occurs. Some patterns or type of abuse are acceptable, so there are no interventions at all. We know any abuse is not right. How do we change their attitude and thinking and set up support systems? We also need to know how to see that the seeking family or community support for grievance redressal for abuse that is considered unacceptable. Do they approach family or police or lawyers or doctors or trusted for support? Do they seek guidance of counselors for psychological support? These are all very important interventions that require. They may ask shelter at a center or old age home. So, this very important, how best we need to know. They may seek livelihood programs or financial support, and if not currently existing, ask what interventions are suitable for them. Another important dimension is about understanding from human rights angle. Abuse of older persons has gained public attention since the early 1980s. So, growing attention to human rights and increasing attention about elder abuse, which have led to viewing abuse of older persons as a human rights issue. Another important aspect is the framework of human rights, which we need to see the issues of older persons. There is a Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which sets out core rights of all human beings in the civil, political, social, economic and cultural spheres. Similarly, the International Plan of Action on Aging, which was adopted at the First World Assembly of Aging in Vienna way back in 1982, outlined the rights of older persons. Furthermore, the United Nations Principles for Older Persons has elaborated the rights in matters of independence, participation, care, self-fulfillment and dignity. The Madrid Declaration, following the UN Second World Assembly on Aging, held in April 2002, aimed at promoting the development of a society for all ages. These are all some of the important aspects that we need to know, that the abuse is one of the important phenomena that occurs and we need to minimize to the extent possible.